We got the 7 churches in Revelation. We've been pulling up this map. Zooming in there on John in his little shackles on the island of Patmos. He writes a letter, same thing we've been saying, gets circled around to these churches. In Asia Minor, the first one we covered was Ephesus. Ephesus, a big port city, major city. Smyrna, also port city, also huge. Pergamum, big city, almost the capital of this area. And then we went down to Thyatira. We said, well, Lydia's from Thyatira, but kind of some blue-collar tradespeople. Yeah. Right? Not a lot known. Pretty simple town. A little bit of the same with Sardis. We don't know so much. Not this big place. Don't know a lot about temples and all that stuff. We do know that Sardis was, in the past, before this letter was written, a force to be reckoned with. They were built on a high cliff with really high walls. And so they were considered impregnable. But as often happens when people rest on their laurels and they make assumptions, Michael Gorman tells us that in history, by the time of this writing, twice, not once, twice Sardis had been taken by sneak attack with forces coming over the supposedly impregnable Acropolis. So we've got this town who sort of stopped trying at some point. They thought what they had was good enough, and they didn't give it a whole lot of effort after that. So we read from Revelation 3, 1 through 6, to the angel of the church in Sardis write, "These are the words of him who holds the 7 stars. I know your deeds. You have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Wake up. Strengthen what remains and is about to die. For I have not found your deeds complete in the sight of my God. Remember, therefore, what you have received and heard. Obey it and repent. But if you do not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what time I will come to you. Yet you have a few people in Sardis who have not soiled their clothes. They will walk with me dressed in white, for they are worthy. He who overcomes will, like them, be dressed in white. I will never blot his name from the book of life, but will acknowledge his name before my Father and his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches." We have Sardis. Okay, I'll say it again. This city who stopped trying, rested on their laurels. They thought, we've got this good enough. And I can't help but draw a parallel to the church in the West and wonder if a lot of our attitude for religion or mission or the seriousness of faith is just based on our history. And we rest on our laurels and we think, good enough. There's been sort of a change in ministry model over the last couple of decades, or maybe a re-emphasis is a better way to say it. Because for most of the church's history in America, we had this, what's called attractional model of ministry. In other words, everybody's a Christian. So the way we do missions is by being more attractive than the other churches. Because everyone's looking for a church. We don't have to go looking for the people. The people are looking for the church. And so let's make our church the most attractive. And I don't just mean the building, but that's part of it. Right? If we have the best preaching and the best music and the best programs and the coolest building and the best people, we're attractive. But we can't do that anymore. Because as America becomes more and more post-Christian, the assumption that people are looking for churches, we just have to be attractive, is less and less true. And so we need to reclaim what's referred to as the missional model of ministry, and find ways to be outward-facing and care less about being attractive and more about getting in front of people with the message of the gospel. And I think this is a challenge for Sardis as well. It says, I have not found your deeds complete. So remember again, this city that, well, we're safe, we're good, we don't have to try anymore. Oh, we had watchmen? The watchman died? We don't need a new watchman, right? We're safe. Nobody ever tries to get over the walls are too high. We don't need to try. An army? Nah, it's kind of a waste of money. Why would we train an army? Nobody gets over right? And so you start to let these things go because we don't need them. And so some of the ways that we see the early church doing evangelism with boldness, maybe those are the things that we've let go and said, street evangelism. Everybody on the street knows Jesus. We just have to be a more attractive church than the one next door. And that's not exactly true anymore. And so we got to reclaim a missional model of ministry. Now, this church has done that well in a number of ways, starting the community meals. And although we don't always get so many guests to the community meal, it's an outward-facing ministry. We advertise at local food banks. We advertise in Lakeshore Weekly that this is open to the community. And every once in a while, we get a guest in. We might need to be better at getting to know those guests when they do come in and not letting them sit alone at a table and leave without anyone talking to them. But that's an outward-facing ministry. We're out in front of people. The ESL program is another. We're advertising at businesses, telling people, come in here and we have something to offer you. And Tom and Sandy do a great job of making that more than just language education, but there's prayer and devotion and an invitation to church. So we have to have more of these outward-facing ministries, not because what we're doing is like an emergent church thing that like we need to lessen the quality of the preaching or lessen the quality of the discipleship so that people feel like they can attain it. It's not that. That's attraction again. That's attraction again. You're trying to look attractive. Right? It's being serious about the things that we're called to do and that we do well, but doing it in an outward-facing way, going out and bringing in the people.